The 2022 MacBook Pro 13 has a single improvement over the 2020 version. The M2 processor, which is faster, more efficient, and helps extend battery life up to 19 hours. Unlike the MacBook Pro 2021 models, which you can buy as refurbished units, this addition to the Mac line retains the classic chassis from previous gen models. So you won't be getting the notched display, overhauled body, or white port variety. Instead, you get the touch bar that Apple has removed on the revamped models. So now, you must be wondering, what notebook should I purchase, a MacBook or Windows laptop? This is the Apple MacBook Pro 13 2022 versus Dell XPS 13 Plus 2022, the battle between two very distinct portable computers. Let's start by breaking down the designs of these two laptops. Objectively, I think we can all agree that the Dell XPS 13 Plus looks more futuristic than the MacBook Pro 13. This isn't surpassing at all, as Apple has decided to recycle the same chassis appearance it's been using on this Mac line for years. The Dell laptop gets thinner bezels, an invisible trackpad, a more modern-looking keyboard, and more. Despite the XPS 13 Plus winning in the overall design round, we should still acknowledge some of the pros that the MacBook Pro packs. While the Dell laptop has a touch bar instead of a function key row, it's only limited to 2 layouts. The MacBook's touch bar, on the other hand, can adapt to the app you're using and show any custom content you might want or need. This makes the touch bar on the Mac more useful than that on the Windows PC. Additionally, the MacBook Pro includes a headphone jack, which is missing on the XPS 13 Plus. Speaking of the thin bezels that the Dell XPS 13 Plus features, let's move on to the displays. We don't need to look at the spec sheet to tell which is the thinner, more minimalistic bezels between the two computers. Using our naked eye, we can tell that those of the MacBook Pro are much thicker. It's almost as if this laptop belongs to a past year. Apart from bezels, Dell still wins the display round. The XPS 13 Plus wins because the screen can go up to 3.5K OLED on the highest end model. Yes, the MacBook Pro's screen beats the entry-level Dell display. However, you don't get screen options when buying the Mac. You're stuck with the default 2560 by 1600p one. That's not to mention that the Dell's is slightly larger than that of the MacBook Pro. While the Apple M2 chip is the latest from the company, it's not the most powerful the Cupertino firm has released. The M1 Pro, Max, and Ultra easily defeated. Nonetheless, the M2 is a mighty chipset that we shouldn't undermine. The Dell XPS 13 Plus is available in several configurations. The base model packs the Intel Core i5 1240p, while the highest end goes for the Intel Core i7 1280p. In both cases, the Intel chips offer more CPU cores than the Apple M2 chip. If we compare Geekbench results, the M2 chipset wins in single-core tests over both Intel chips. However, the Core i7 1280p wins in multi-core tests performed. That's not to mention that the M2 is more power efficient than the Intel counterparts. Nonetheless, the Dell XPS 13 Plus supports up to 32 gigs of RAM, while the MacBook Pro 13 settles for 24 gigs. Ultimately, both laptops are powerful, and it really depends on the configurations you go for. So, which laptop should you purchase? We can't decide for you. If your current computer runs Windows, and you're not looking for a change, then it would make sense to grab the Dell XPS 13 Plus. Similarly, if you're stuck in the Apple ecosystem, buying the MacBook Pro 13 is more logical. Though, if you don't care about the operating system, then either of them will offer more than decent performance. Both of them offer two similar color options and start at the same price range. So unless you're looking for something very specific, you can buy either of them. So for example, if you really want your laptop to have an OLED display, then the Dell is your only option here. Alternatively, if you're an audiophile who depends on the headphone jack and doesn't want to use dongles, the MacBook Pro is the go-to here. That's not to mention that adjustable touch bar on the Mac, which many people integrate into their workflows as a tiny touch display. Ultimately, we've broken down the main specifications of each machine, and only you can tell which one is right for you. Thank you for watching this video to the end. I hope it was not only useful, but also interesting for you. If you have any questions, write them in the comments. Have a good day and see you soon.